Well, you might be running home screaming to your mummy after watching this video.
That's pretty good. You guys, Egypt, new stuff. It's come to light, and we are here to share it with you. I'm pretty excited about this one. Yeah.
Oh, I get it, mummies.
Oh, starting off our list today, we have the Screaming Mummy, one of the more disturbing archaeological finds of the 1800s. In 1886, wow, this is not a recent find. In 1886, head of the Egyptian's antique service Gaston Maspero unwrapped what is now known as Man-E, or the Screaming Mummy. Man-E was found inside of a plain coffin wrapped up in sheepskin, which is already strange considering the fact that most mummies were wrapped in fine linens, and according to experts, sheepskin was considered impure by the ancient Egyptians. Not only that, but this corpse had not been properly embalmed, just left out to dry. Also, both of the mummy's hands and feet were bound. And then there is, of course, the matter of its expression, a contorted scream, which have led archaeologists to believe that Man-E was in a great deal of pain at the time of his death. Not only that, but other evidence has brought researchers to the conclusion that Man-E might have been a prince and the son of the pharaoh Ramses III. Ancient papyrus scrolls reveal that the pharaoh's family, army, commanders, servants, and wives had planned to kill him. It also says that conspirators were captured and tried. While at first it is believed that the mutiny was unsuccessful, a CT scan of Pharaoh Ramses III showed that he actually likely died after his throat was cut. If that really is the case, and it was his son who killed him, that would explain why Man-E was not only killed, but also terribly dishonored in his death.
Next up, we have one of the most exciting things you could ever hope to find in one of the Egyptian pyramids, a secret chamber. So in early March of 2023, Egypt's antiquities authorities unveiled a pretty remarkable discovery. It was a sealed-off chamber inside of one of the Great Pyramids at Giza, dating back approximately 4,500 years. The chamber was found using advanced scanning technology on the northern side of the Pyramid of Khufu. They found that the corridor is about 30 feet long and over 6 feet wide, situated above the pyramid's main entrance. What makes it even more interesting is that it's not accessible from the outside. So what is the purpose of this chamber, or what was the purpose? Archaeologists are still not sure, but the hope here is that this tunnel actually leads to King Khufu's burial chamber. Interestingly, this is not the first discovery of a mystery chamber in this very same pyramid. Back in 2017, scientists found a sealed-off corridor, a 30-meter chamber inside of Khufu. So there were various scanning techniques used here, including ultrasound measurements and ground-penetrating radars employed to locate this chamber. Christian Gross, a leading member of the project, said he's hoping there could be even more secrets in this pyramid, and I, for one, agree.
Next up, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. But what would 1,000 words be worth if your tongue was made of gold? Why do I ask? Well, because in 2021, it was reported that archaeologists had unearthed a handful of 2,000-year-old mummies with, wait for it, golden tongues. The mummies were found at Alexandria's Taposiris Magna Temple. There were 16 of them, poorly preserved, buried in rock-cut tombs that would have been popular in the Greek and Roman eras. It is likely the golden tongues were placed into the mouths of the individuals so that they would be able to speak before the court of the god Osiris, the god of the underworld and the judge of the dead. In one of the tombs, Osiris was depicted on the linens encasing one of the mummies. In another tomb, images of a crown, horns, and a cobra snake were depicted around a mummy's head, and a symbol of the god Horus, the god of kingship, healing, protection, the sun, and the sky, was found on the same mummy's chest. The very same excavation turned up ancient funeral masks with golden flakes dating back to the Greek and Roman eras, as well as a number of coins adorned with the name and portrait of Queen Cleopatra VII, the last ruler of the Egyptian Empire.
Next on the list, we have the discovery of mysterious L-shaped structure underneath the Giza Pyramid complex. A team of archaeologists from Japan and Egypt found something really cool near the pyramid complex of Giza. They used ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, to explore the area beneath Giza's western cemetery. The GPR works by capturing wave reflections from underground, and then it creates three-dimensional images. Between 2021 and 2023, they focused on a flat, empty part of the cemetery that strangely didn't have any tombs. But they suspected something was down there. The area had a different density from the surrounding soil, and the shape of whatever this anomaly was made it clear that it was man-made. The radar data showed two underground structures, one shallow and one deeper down. The shallow one, shaped like an L, is about 33 feet wide and 49 feet long, lying 6.5 feet below the surface. The deeper structure is about 16 to 33 feet underground and covers about 33 square feet. The archaeologists were pretty excited because the shapes and the layout of these structures didn't seem like natural formations. It looked like they'd been built by humans. As for exactly what's down there, research is still ongoing, but if it's an underground facility of some kind, there could be tons of artifacts and remains and who knows what else.
Next up, we have something that is not so much scary as it is super cool. In 2016, Ann Austin, an archaeologist at Stanford University, began inspecting the body of a 3,000-year-old female mummy, only to discover something incredibly unusual, for the time that is. The woman's neck was covered in markings. At first, it was believed that they had been drawn on after the woman died, in lieu of placing physical traditional burial amulets on the body. But upon closer inspection, Anne realized that the markings were permanent and that the woman had been alive when she received them, making the markings the oldest representative image tattoos known to man. Earlier markings found on other mummies were made solely up of abstract dots and lines. After thoroughly inspecting the rest of the mummy's body, Anne found 30 separate inkings across the woman's neck, back, arms, and shoulders. This girl was yadded up. Sorry. Images of eyes, snakes, lotus blossoms, and cows, often associated with the goddess Hathor, the goddess of love, beauty, music, dancing, fertility, and pleasure, were all present on the body. The mummy was subsequently nicknamed the Priestess of Hathor, and it is believed that the images were etched into her skin during a religious cult activity.
Just this year, a 4,000-plus-year-old ancient Egyptian tomb was discovered, along with a bunch of really cool artifacts. Once again, this was a team of Egyptian and Japanese archaeologists. Now, during their expedition in Saqqara, they found a 4,000-year-old tomb. Inside were the remains of a man buried with a colorful mask dating back to the Second Dynasty, around 2649 to 2150 BC, making him over 4,000 years old. They also found a coffin from the 18th Dynasty containing a well-preserved alabaster vessel. There were also burials with artifacts like terracotta statues, one depicting the goddess Isis, another statue was Harpocrates, the god of silence and secrets. The team also found a bunch of amulets, pottery models, and pieces of broken pottery called ostraka, which were etched with inscriptions.
Alright, this next one is just gross. By now we should all know that mummies and the process of mummification was, in ancient Egypt, an incredibly sacred cultural practice. The process of embalming was meticulous and consisted of 9 stages. 1. Insert a hook through a hole near the nose and pull out part of the brain. 2. Make a cut on the left side of the tummy and remove all internal organs. 3. Let the internal organs dry before placing the lungs, intestine, stomach, and liver inside decorative jars. 4. Place the heart back inside the body. 5. Rinse the inside of the body with wines and spices. 6. Cover the corpse in salt and let rest for 70 days. No, this is not a recipe for a souffle or whatever it might be. 7. Stuff the body with linen or sand to give it back its human shape. 8. Wrap the body from head to toe in bandages using resin to form a seal. And 9. Place the mummy in a sarcophagus. What I want to focus on right now is stage number 8, which utilizes resin, which Europeans mistook for bitumen, which they believed to have healing properties, which led to wealthy Europeans purchasing ground up mummies and consuming them. The health benefits were non-existent, and the whole thing was super gross. Oh, and in the late 1800s, when mummies became too hard to acquire, bodies of deceased, dehydrated criminals were used instead.
Next up, we have the Pit of Hands. Archaeologists have found a number of severed hands in ancient Egyptian tombs, and it's believed that these severed hands were actually war trophies. So back then, it wasn't uncommon for victorious warriors to collect all these grisly souvenirs from their victories. case, many historians believe these hands were ritually severed as part of a ceremony, likely to signify the defeat and domination of their enemies. But why hands specifically? Well, hands were symbols of power and agency in ancient Egypt. By removing them, the victors were not only physically disabling their enemies, but also symbolically stripping them of their ability to resist or fight back. It's hard to fight without hands. In one case, a number of these severed hands were found in pits during excavations of a palace near the ancient city of Avaris. These pits contained hundreds of severed hands that were all neatly stacked together, and the largest pit was right in front of the throne room. They seem like they were pretty important. There's even ancient Egyptian artwork depicting soldiers possibly trading severed hands for gold. Some also speculate they could have been depicting offerings to the gods.
Next up, we have the possible discovery of Queen Cleopatra VII's tomb. We are so close, I could taste it, but not in the way Europeans did in the 1800s, because that's gross, but this is incredibly cool. In 2022, a 1,500 meter long, 1.8 meter high tunnel was discovered beneath an Egyptian temple that project leader Dr. Kathleen Martinez believes may very well lead to the lost tomb of the last ruler of Egypt, who was born in 70 or 69 BC and ruled as co-regent for almost 30 years. Inside of the tunnel, located in the area of the Temple of Tapizaries Magna, west of Alexandria, two carefully crafted stone heads were found that only furthered Dr. Martinez's belief that she must have stumbled upon Cleopatra's tomb, which has always been rumored to be located in the area. If Dr. Martinez is correct in her assumption, she may have also found the final resting place of Cleopatra's lover, Mark Antony, who is believed to have been buried alongside his lover, Cleopatra. Romantic.
And finally, we gotta talk about cursed tombs. Pharaohs made it very clear that they didn't want their tombs being broken into, so they'd inscribe them with curses. Didn't really stop anyone, but they are pretty ominous. And there have been some pretty eerie cases of archaeologists and tomb raiders having pretty bad luck after encountering them, or even dying soon after. The curses often threaten lifelong torment, not just for the trespasser, but for their entire family as well. One of the most famous examples is, of course, the curse of King Tut's tomb. When British archaeologist Howard Carter opened the tomb in 1922, several members of his team died under mysterious circumstances shortly after the discovery, leading some to believe that the tomb may have actually been cursed. The curses weren't vague threats either on these tombs. A lot of them are just very blunt, with statements like, "His flesh shall belong to the fire," and "Your entire family will be eaten by crocodiles," and that sort of thing. Maybe not something scientists look at and are all that afraid of, but definitely something that would make me second guess going in there.
Whole lot going on in Egypt these days.
Yeah, and all throughout thousands and thousands of years. That's one place I definitely want to go.
It would be pretty cool if they found Cleopatra's tomb. I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, holding out for that.
Yeah, stay tuned. Maybe we'll have a video sometime soon about 10 things that they found
In her tomb.
Yeah.
Could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You never know. All right, we will catch you, yes, you guys, specifically in the next video.
Cheers.